Good morning, everyone. It's Penelope. It is Wednesday. We're midweek. I have today and then 2 more days. But what I did today is I did my fridge inventory. So I've done the fridge inventory and we're going to live out of that for a week, maybe two. I haven't decided yet, but I did make a 1 week menu plan with my refrigerator foods. So we'll get to that. Now, if you go back and you watch my chickens out of the coop this morning, it was their first day out. I swear it was so funny. It took them a half an hour for the last one to come out. I sat up there and I watched and I watched and I watched little Miss Bossy Pants would go back up and try to get everybody to follow him, back down the little ramp. So it was trying to herd everybody outside, and it finally did. And it was pretty cool. And if you saw it, my favorite chicken caught a worm. Of course, I don't know if someone took that worm away from her or they found another one, but we had worm tag going on. So anyway, I love that they were outside, but I'm going to have to fix that in the morning so that way it's going to be easier for me to train them that when I bring their food and water up, that they go back in. Now, some people will say, well, you need to put food and water out there for them. No, I want them to associate coming back in and eating and drinking for now. That's just a very small temporary training pen for them to learn because I work second shift. So I want them to understand that when I bring their food and water back up, it's time to come back in. Okay, so I did my fridge inventory this morning. Where is it? My cat walked all over my whiteboards, so I'm going to have to try to remember some of this. But here is my fridge inventory. I did my proteins, I did my fruit and vegetables, and then I did my miscellaneous. So on my proteins, I I got I have a gallon and a half of milk, 3 dozen eggs, two smoked sausages packages, 3 packages of shredded cheese. I have some cheese slices. I have a pack of bologna, and I have a pack of bacon up there for my proteins. That's pretty good. Now, if you follow me, you know that I've been feeding my chicks boiled eggs. So that's going to go really, really fast if I continue to feed them boiled eggs in order to train them to come back into the coop. So I need eggs. Fruits and vegetables. I have 8 bell peppers in there that I have gotten on discounts. I need to utilize them. I have celery. I have a half a container of mushrooms, 3 zucchinis, 2 squash, a quarter bag of stir-fry vegetables, and some lettuce. I also have some apple juice, and then I have the Tampico drink in there for drinking. My miscellaneous, I have plenty of margarine. I have a French loaf of bread. I have a half loaf of the whole wheat bread. I have a few hot dog buns, a few hamburger buns. Uh, I have some cinnamon rolls I need to bake up. I have some crescent dough I can work with. I have some hummus. I have flour and corn tortillas. I also have a lot of condiments and sauces, but I'm going to be going through those and trying to replace them out of my pantry because I just want to get rid of all of the old stuff and we're going to start new. So I'm going to go through my drawer and really, or my door, and go through that and get rid of some of the old stuff. Okay, so that was my inventory. So what I did, I came up with 6 meals and I only had to pull 2 things from the freezer, and I'm going to tell you about it. Now, my cat walked all over my whiteboard, so I'm going to have to just kind of read this out and hope that I get it all right. Since I have the 2 packs of smoked sausage, I'm going to do smoked sausage, mashed potatoes, and sauerkraut. That is one of my husband's favorite meals. It's something I normally don't make at this time of year, but since I have the smoked sausage and I'm trying to get him to eat more, I think I'm going to do that. The only thing I don't have for that meal is the sauerkraut. I might have some in one of my prepper pantries, but I'm not going to pull it. Um, just because. Now, I also have BLTs down for the bacon, and I always add an egg and some cheese to each one of the BLTs to make it a little more proteiny and a little more substantial. So with the BLTs, the only thing I need is a tomato. Really? Now, since I have all of these bell peppers, and I do have things that I can utilize with that, I still think that stuffed bell peppers would be an awesome add to this meal list. Now, I normally wouldn't make it at this time of year. It normally is a fall meal when I start gathering all of my homegrown peppers. but I figured I've got these peppers, I've got plenty frozen, so let's go ahead and stuff these peppers and make some stuffed peppers. So I normally make my stuffed peppers and mashed potatoes, so I will make an extra bunch of mashed potatoes when I make my mashed potatoes for the week, so that way they will go into another meal. Now, something I'm going to use in my stuffed peppers this time is I have some fried rice with some vegetables in it, so I'm going to utilize some of that in with my stuffed peppers. You know, because some people, and I do, I put rice in my stuffed peppers, so I'm going to utilize that fried rice that has the vegetables already in it. I'm going to stuff that with the ground beef, put it in there. Now, the only thing, there's two things I don't have for this meal, but one I can grab from my freezer, and that's my ground beef. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some ground venison, and we're going to make venison stuffed peppers. I don't have tomato juice. I could take canned tomatoes out of my pantry and blend them up and make tomato juice for my stuffed peppers. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not, but I'll tell you in just a minute. Now, another meal that I'm going to do are burritos. I'm going to make some burritos. Now, the one thing I'm going to pull out of the freezer for that is some pulled pork that's already made. It's already got Mexican flavor in it. It's already cooked. I mean, it's ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to pull that from my freezer. I have 2 avocados, so I'm going to make some guacamole with this. And I'm also going to use some of that leftover fried rice and vegetables to put into my burritos as well. So we're going to utilize some leftovers that are in there for 2 meals, the stuffed peppers and the burritos. The only 2 things I'm going to pull out of the freezer is my ground venison and my pulled pork that's already cooked. Now, on one day, we're going to have bologna sandwiches, and salad. I'm going to make a big salad with all of the salad stuff that I have, and we're going to do that. That is going to probably be closer to the end of this week, so that way we can utilize some of that lettuce that I already have. Now, with the crescent dough, I am going to make like a quiche. I'm going to use that crescent dough as my crust. I'm going to blend up some eggs, put some cheese and vegetables in that, and bake it up and have a quiche. I think that would be great. It's something I normally wouldn't do at this time of year, but we're trying to utilize what's in our refrigerator, and I tried to get creative, so that's the way it is. Now, the 7th meal will be a leftover meal. Whatever leftovers we have up here, that will be our leftover meal for 7 days. Now, this whole thing is also good for a 7-day, week-to-week plan. Now, what I'm going to do, I went and got one of these. This is a home finance and bill organizer. And the reason I did this was because I thought this was really, really handy. I've got it on June. And this one has where you can put all of your expenses. And I think that's going to be really, really crucial for this bare bone challenge. And we can continue to do it. I have my list in here. And I'm going to show you my list. This is week 1. This is week 1 of my list. Now remember, we're living out of the refrigerator. We're not going to stock it back up until we start pulling stuff out of the freezer for the next week, week number 2, and see what we get from the food pantry. Okay, so week number 1, the 3 things that I need that I don't have for the meals on hand is sauerkraut, a tomato, and tomato juice. And like I said, if I don't find tomato juice at the food pantry, I will get my canned tomatoes and I will blend them up with my fancy new blender thingy and utilize that instead. Now, I am going to go to Kroger on Friday and get 2 of the watermelons. That's going to be $7.98 for 2 watermelons. Now, something that popped up is at an IGA 3 towns over, 1 town over from the Kroger that I'm going to go to, eggs are going to be 68 cents a dozen. I am going to go to that IGA and I'm going to get 4 dozen at $2.72. So this week, my $10 groceries have already been spent. So for 2 watermelons at Kroger is going to be $7.98. And my eggs, I'm going to get 4 dozen at 68 cents a piece. They're $2.72, so that is $10.70. Now, instead of taking 70 cents from my envelope, I am going to count it out of my little change purse. So that way, that will leave that $5 in there. So that way, next week, I don't have to put that extra $5 in my envelope for just overages and things like that. So At the food pantry this week, we are going to really focus on seeing if they have any sauerkraut, tomato juice, tomatoes. We're also going to look for onions, potatoes, bread, and my husband wants some regular crackers. If they don't have regular crackers, he's not getting regular crackers this week because we've already utilized our $10. He doesn't like this challenge. He wants some crackers. So anyway, I'm going to slip this back into this little folder here. And every week I will put down what I've spent. I'm going to kind of change this up a little bit so that way I can show you. You don't need to know what my bills are. You don't need to know how much I spend on my bills. I've got a lot of bills this week and next week to spend or to pay out. It's really, really costly. So we're already at over 10 minutes on this video. So bare bones budget. This was the inventory of the refrigerator menu list. And I hope you all have a great day. I have an email at squirrelyprepper@gmail.com if you want to email me, if you want to get some ideas, or if you just want to talk with me. Bye, everybody.